It's Latif. We've got an oldie but a goodie today from 2011. This episode, and I mean, I can say this because I had nothing to do with making it, it pulls off one of the most difficult and satisfying things a story in any medium can do, which is that it stretches your conception of what a human being is capable of. And besides being just a jaw-dropping portrait of a human with a brain, it also just makes you wonder what obscure superpowers we are all just walking around with, totally oblivious that they are even superpowers. Anyway, if you haven't heard it before, I'm jealous of you. If you have, it completely holds up, even, 10 plus years later. This is 4-Track Mind. Enjoy.
Yeah, wait, you're listening.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
You're listening to Radiolab.
Radiolab.
From
WNYC.
See?
Yeah.
Rewind.
No, it won't be so bad. Oh, should we do that now?
Yep.
Hey, I'm Jad Abumrad. This is Radiolab.
Yes, it is.
No, we're doing the introduction.
Oh.
Ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's do it for real. Hey, I'm Jad Abumrad.
I'm Robert Krulwich.
This is Radiolab. And today on the podcast, I want to tell you about a guy who hears music in a way that is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
And painful.
Just thinking about this story makes my head hurt.
That's Jessica Benko. She's a reporter.
Yep.
And she's the one who initially told me the story.
So a little while ago, I went up to visit this guy.
Hi.
Bob Milne.
Bob, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Excuse my snowy feet here.
And he lives in a tiny town in Michigan with his wife, Linda.
It's nice to see you again.
And who is he?
He's an amazing piano player. The Library of Congress actually called him a national treasure.
Really?
He's had this special relationship with music ever since he was a boy.
Did you grow up with any other instruments inside the house other than the piano, or was that what you started out on?
Well, my mother made me take piano lessons, and I hated it. I didn't like the sound of minor keys, and the piano teachers had me playing a recital in which there was a Schubert minor key piece in it. And so on the recital, I played it in major. And everyone thought that was a travesty.
These days, though, his main music isn't so much Schubert. It's actually ragtime.
Ragtime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the rhythms.
So the thing about ragtime is that oftentimes the player is actually playing two different rhythms at the same time, one with the left hand, one with the right hand.
And then he puts the rhythms of 3 in the right hand.
The thing about Bob is he can do this like times 1,000.
Oh. What does that even mean?
Well, let me back up. I first heard about Bob from a neurologist named Kerstin Bettermann,
Kerstin Bettermann,
who's now at Penn State.
University. First time I heard about Bob Milne was through friends.
Kerstin heard about Bob from a colleague who'd seen him play for an audience.
Well, I might just take a tune like a...
He was actually playing multiple rhythms with his two different hands and switching back and forth between different pieces of music and carrying on a conversation at the same time. You can look up videos of Bob on YouTube, and you can see him performing and throwing out jokes, but at times you'll see him carry on a full conversation while playing. From the perspective of a neurologist, this is actually really hard, because the part of your brain that should be engaged in playing a piece of music that complicated should also be engaged in having a conversation.
The talking part and the playing part are the same part?
They're the same part in most of us. For most people, that sort of thing, playing a complex piece of music and having a conversation would interfere with one another.
Yes, that's what you usually would think, unless you're highly skilled and you play maybe one piece of music at a time that you've done multiple times, but even then it would be very difficult to this degree.
So Kerstin got in touch with Bob, and she started asking him some questions
about the way he would perceive music.
And in the course of chatting with him and talking about how he perceives music and all of this, he happened to say to her
that I could hear an entire symphony in my head, and I didn't think that was too big a deal because I always listened to two of them at once.
He told her,
I only have to focus on the one melody that I want to hear at a given time, and then that's the piece I play, but I hear them all ongoing.
Did he just say he can hear two
different symphonies
in his head
at the same time.
And we thought this was very unusual.
Yeah. But, I mean, are we talking the full symphonies or just the melodies?
Every instrument.
Every instrument.
And he can focus in and...
Turn one of them up, one of them down, and they both run simultaneously.
Huh.
So then she pushed the envelope and asked me can I hear three
pieces of music.
I said, well, I don't know, never tried.
But he was like, yeah, I think I could do 3.
When we challenged him a little bit, actually he said, I can do 4 if you ask me.
What?
But I wouldn't go any further than that.
No, that's total Just 4 symphonies at the same time? That's just nothing but noise.
Absolute cacophony.
You know, the 4 pieces of music that just was, wow. I said, nobody can do this. You know, so I was really critical.
Yeah, because it's not true.
We had to think about how to test this.
Let me tell you about how the experiment worked, and then tell me if you think it's true.
All right.
We came up with the behavioral test. And
So the first thing Kerstin had to do was find a control, someone to compare Bob to.
Right.
So she found a conductor.
Peter Perret, who's the former conductor of the Winston-Salem Symphony.
Who is himself an accomplished musician. Before the test, she sent him and Bob
4 pieces of music. We had Schubert's Symphony. We had Brahms. We had Beethoven.
and finally one from Mendelssohn. So you have to keep in mind, these 4 symphonies are in different keys and different tempos.
Very different in their themes and the instrumentations. And the challenge for them was to learn these 4 pieces of music.
Completely memorize them.
4 different tunes, and they only gave me a couple of days to listen to them.
And then play them in their mind, and we would then ask them where in a certain piece they would be after an arbitrary time.
I'm not really following. What did they do?
So here's what they did. They put these guys in the scanner, and they said to them, I want you to play the music in your mind.
Play the music in your mind.
Close your eyes and imagine the music.
So no music is playing out loud?
No music playing, just inside their head.
And are they imagining it however they want or like on the CD?
Exactly what they had heard on the CD.
So same instruments coming in and out?
Yep.
Same tempo?
Yep.
So if it was vivace on the CD, vivace in their head?
Exactly.
And why were they doing this again?
Well, they wanted to see if these guys could track via memory these really complicated pieces of music.
I see.
So they put the guys in the scanner, they're laying there. And on a screen in front of them, the word start flashes. And at that moment, they start playing the first piece of music back in their head. In the control room, they're tracking the music themselves to follow the timing.
The researchers?
Yeah.
Oh, so while Bob and this dude are imagining it, they're actually keeping track of where the real CD is?
Exactly. They let it go for a while. And at an arbitrary moment, they say stop. And then they say, sing to me exactly where you are in the music.
Like the note?
The exact phrase. They go back, they compare the timing.
To the CD.
Right, to find out if these guys can really recreate inside their heads exactly what they'd heard.
And?
So our conductor, our control, was able to listen to 1 piece of music at a time and was really right on target with the right answer and timing within a second.
Wow. So this conductor's imagined symphony was only a second off from the real one?
Yep. Same with Bob. So Bob's within a note or 2.
Not bad.
Now, round 2.
The multi-song task, as we called it.
They told them both to start that first piece of music again. And then a little bit later, they said, start the second piece of music. In your head.
Simultaneously?
Yep.
All right, I'm already like, come on. It's crazy. Like, we slipped into fantasy.
Well, and that's what happened for the conductor. He couldn't do it.
He couldn't do 2 simultaneously.
Yeah, of course he couldn't do it. It's impossible.
There was no chance. He said this is an overwhelming, impossible task.
His brain just shut down.
Well, like he died or something?
He stopped even being able to track the first piece of music. He just got confused. Now we go to Bob.
They put me into the MRI and they asked me, start tune 1 in your head. So I did. Then, roughly 10-15 seconds later, I got a message on the screen that says, continue listening to 1, start 2. And then 15 seconds later, continue listening to tunes 1 and 2, start 3. And then the same thing with tune 4. Then on the screen it said stop. And then Kerstin came on a little, I could hear her talking to me from somewhere. And she says, Bob,
Tell us, where are you?
Where are you in tune 1?
Beethoven's symphony. Right now, what do you hear?
So I told her, and I described what the piece was playing at that point. And the same thing with tune 2, 3, and 4. She announced that I was exactly right on to the note in each one of the symphonies.
Jess, you're telling me something that's just
Kristen's
not...
a really, she's got a lot of integrity.
It's just my common sense right now is yelling like a 3-year-old.
It really is mind-boggling to think about. It makes my brain hurt.
But, we proved, you can do it.
When Kerstin gave you the different pieces of music to listen to, did any of them clash?
No. No, they don't clash. They're all just playing different pieces. There's nothing chaotic about it.
All right. So assuming this is true, how does he do this? How does he explain to himself how he does this?
So I think there's 2 things going on here. The first has to do with emotion.
Emotion.
Bob is using different brain areas, I think. In his case, probably more emotional brain centers.
Emotion deepens the way that we experience things, makes stronger memories. And Bob has a really strong emotional relationship with music.
Well, don't we all?
Yeah, but it's a little bit beyond the whole minor keys make me feel sad. He has really specific emotions associated with individual keys on the scale.
Huh.
When I hear C major, it's a very bland key. It's like, I don't know how to describe, it's like eating water soup or something like that. But D major is a bright key that makes me want to dance even though I can't dance. And every key, every one of the keys of the piano had a different emotional attachment to me.
So for Bob, if just the keys are triggering different emotions, imagine what it must be like when you get to actual music.
So you think that something about how he experiences the emotions of the music makes it etch more deeply in his brain or something?
Yeah, I think when he's got these 4 pieces of music going, he's not thinking hard about tracking each one of them. He's already in them. He feels them inside his body, and you can feel more than one feeling at a time.
Huh.
So that's one idea. The second idea has to do actually more with image and space, really. So Bob often closes his eyes when he's talking. It just helps him focus. So I asked him if he could try playing back 2 pieces of music right now. And I asked him, when you hear these 2 symphonies in your head, what are you seeing?
I can picture 2 symphony orchestras sitting side by side.
He actually sees the literal orchestras in his head?
Yeah, and I see them as silhouettes. There's no conductor in front of either one. There's a brownish hue out in front of them, like it's the floor, but it's more the color of the deep brown of a violin. And in back of them, there's a semicircle that's bluish in color. Then when I listen to them, I'm going to listen to Brahms' Second Symphony over on the left side. And over on the right side, I'll turn on the Emperor Concerto, third movement of Beethoven. So I'm listening to that. Now these are in two different keys. Emperor's in E flat, Brahms is in D. So now if I want to pay particular attention, let's say I want to listen to the Emperor here. I'm going to go into the E major. I just sped it up. See, I can speed the thing up to go to some other part in it. I can jump backwards. Let's see, just a minute. I can hear it in F. I can put it into any key I want to. But I'm going to roar forward in this third movement of the Emperor here. And I'm listening to the E major variation on the piano, which is just like it's just rocking on this beautiful E major chord, pivoting around to the E flat note and going up and down from there on the piano.
Wow. So his crazy talents may have something to do with this movie-making thing that he does in his head.
Yeah, but it's not just a movie. It's like a 3D movie. He can use it to find out where a specific instrument is.
How do you mean?
In his mind's eye, he can fly out over these orchestras and actually look down on the individual instrument he wants to see.
And I'm looking down and I see the piano out in front of them.
He can zoom in and see them playing their instrument.
Okay, now I'm up there in the air listening to this thing, and over on my left side I can still hear this Brahms going along. On Brahms I can only see the silhouettes from the front, whereas the Emperor over here I can see full color in every person's face in it, plus hear the lines that they're playing.
And as he's flying out over these orchestras, the instruments actually get louder and softer depending on where he is. Like if he goes behind orchestra number 1.
I can hear the bass much louder. Let's see. Then if I go over to the left side, I'm hearing the violins.
And he says he can float right above the players and actually see what they're doing.
I can see every wrinkle in the pleated shirts of their tuxedos. And I can see the deep brownish-orangish color of the violas. And I can hear the deep sound, beautiful sound of that low viola. And I can hear every little rosin scratch across their bows.
God, listening to music for this guy must be like an acid trip. The way that he's describing it?
I think it is. And when he listens to recorded music, it's so much diminished from what he feels when he's imagining it.
Huh. So he doesn't listen to CDs.
He cannot stand listening to CDs.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a real example of the extremes of the human mind.
So what does he do with these crazy talents? I mean, is he like a billionaire?
Nope. First of all, ragtime's not exactly the most popular form of music in the United States at this point, but it's what he likes to play. And he plays, 250 shows a year. But a lot of them are at historical societies or churches.
Oh, Linda and I, we've got a small motorhome. It's an airport bus, one of those little 15-passenger buses. It's got a hot shower and a bathroom and a bed, of course.
So, he travels around in his little motorhome with his wife when he can and without her when he can't, and sleeps in Walmart parking lots. He's working on an opera, which is mostly done, and he writes it in his head while he's driving. And then he sits down in a McDonald's and writes it out on paper. And, that's pretty much what he does with his life.
Thanks to reporter Jess Benko for that great story, and also to producer Mark Phillips for making it sound so good.
But why should we share the information the way we just did? Why not do the outro in a way that Bob Milne would fully and completely appreciate?
You mean so we should say it all together in a big jumble?
Simultaneously, and he'll be able to think the Jad side and then the Robert side.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you
Thanks to
to
Jessica
people who
Benko,
play the
who's
piano.
reporting
Thank
out
you
with a really
to
excellent
listeners of the
Scott
piano
Joplin,
players
a
who play the
remarkable
piano.
composer,
Thank
and the
you, of
Walmart
course,
Company,
to
providing
tuners of
parking
those
to people who
pianos. Thank you to
sleep through the
Walmart
night
and to
and
Discount
even
Cheap
through
Goods.
the day.
The left hand hitting the piano.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Robert.
Robert.
see that.
Radiolab was created by Jad Abumrad and is edited by Soren Wheeler. Lulu Miller and Latif Nasser are our co-hosts. Dylan Keefe is our director of sound design. Our staff includes Simon Adler, Jeremy Bloom, Becca Bressler, Ketty Foster Keys, W. Harry Fortuna, David Gable, Maria Paz Gutierrez, Sindhu Nyana Sambadam, Matt Keelty, Annie McEwen, Alex Neeson, Alyssa Jong Perry, Sarah Kari, Sarah Sambach, Ariane Wack, Pat Walters, and Molly Webster, with help from Timmy Broderick. Our fact-checkers are Diane Kelly, Emily Krieger, and Natalie Middleton.
Hi, I'm Luis Vera, and I'm calling from Mexico City. Leadership support for Radiolab science programming is provided by the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, Science Sandbox, the Simons Foundation Initiative, and the John Templeton Foundation. Foundational support for Radiolab was provided by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation.